Okay, class, now that we know what we're discussing today, let's get into some details here. We know we're going to talk about root words and the affixes that go with the root words, the prefix and the suffix. So we're going to use our families to kind of tie this together for us today. Our families, our moms and our dads, and our brothers and our sisters play a big part of who we are. They make up who we are. They give us meaning. So to kind of tie it together, our families, our parents would be our prefix in our lives, and our brothers and sisters would be the suffix in our lives. Some of us could do without our brothers and sisters on occasion, but we have to have them anyway. So that's who make up who we are. So when we're talking about root words, we're talking about a main word. And when you add a suffix or a prefix to that word, that can change the whole total meaning of a root word. So I've given us some suffixes and some prefixes here on our board. I apologize, I don't know if y'all can see them real well, so I'm going to kind of roll them across here. We've got consideration, we've got trans, we've got able, we've got grad, we've got un, ation, and day, and ray. So those are our suffixes and our prefixes. So what I've done is I've went ahead and built us a word chart to go up on the board. And what we're going to do is we're going to complete our word chart by figuring out the prefix, the root word, the suffix, and the meaning. So our first word is transportable. So what we need to do is figure out the prefix for transportable. So our prefix here on this one, which will go in our prefix box here for transportable, will be trans. I apologize, there we go. So we're going to write trans for our prefix. Then for our root word was port, which port by itself means where a boat comes. It does not mean what the word transportable means. That's where the prefix and the suffix come in and changing the meaning. So our first word being transportable, so our root was port, and our suffix is the able, which changed the meaning can be transported. So that suffix and that prefix totally changed the meaning of the word port to transportable, which is can be transported. So our next word is unbeatable. Well, we all know that what unbeatable means is cannot be beat or defeated. So we're going to go ahead and put that over here in our meaning. Cannot be beat. However, when you go to find the root word of unbeatable, you know what the root word of unbeatable is? It's actually beat, which is totally different meaning than what unbeatable means. Beat means you can be beaten, you can lose. So we're going to go ahead and put in our prefix here, which is un, and we already know that the root word was beat, and our suffix is the able. So that the prefix and the suffix, that totally changed the meaning of that word. So we have to remember that suffixes and prefixes can play a big factor in a word, just like our families play big factors in our lives and change our meanings in our lives. The suffix and prefix can change the meaning of a word. So our last word we're going to go ahead and put up here on the board is reconsideration. Well, the root word is consider for reconsideration, which means state of considering or thinking about. Well, reconsideration means rethinking or rethinking about it. So it totally changed the definition of the word. So we need to go ahead and come up with our prefix, which is the re. We already knew our root word was consideration. And then I'm going to go ahead and put our suffix over here for ation. And we know that it means state of considering. So that's our word chart, how we broke them down. We had the complete word starting over here on this end. We figured out what the prefix, the root word, the suffix, and the meaning of each word was. So when you're trying to figure out the words today on our word chart worksheet that we're going to have here in just a few moments, remember that when you're trying to sound out the words, look for the root word and look at the prefix and the suffix. You've got the list of prefixes and suffixes, and remember that when you're trying to figure out the meaning of the word, make sure you find the root word first, because our worksheet, that's what you have to do, is you have to find the root word, add the prefix and the suffix to it, and then you've got to come up with a definition, which you're going to have dictionaries to do with. However, but remember, when you have the root word, like we had for transportable, it totally changed the meaning of that word. It went from being a port where boats would come to being transportable, which would mean you can move things. So remember that today when you're trying to figure out your definitions. There are a couple of words that are going to be slightly confusing. I've given you those words in your worksheet so that you can use your dictionary for definitely finding the definitions of those, because sometimes a prefix and a suffix doesn't necessarily change the complete meaning of a word, such as reconsideration. It's almost the same as consideration. It's very close to being the same. So remember that when you're working on your worksheet today. So go ahead and get started on your worksheets, and if you have any questions, please come up and see me. You can also ask your partner. Although I don't want you working in partners today, you can ask your partner that you normally work with to help you out if you're struggling with a particular word. And then you know where the dictionaries are, so you can use the dictionaries. There's also online dictionaries available. If you'd like to use those, you can do that. But please be sure and stay focused on your paper and not just get distracted and start playing on the computer. So if you have any questions, please let me know and we'll get started.